How goes it, guys? Dadbodoperator back again today, and I've got one question for you. When it comes to AR-15s, are you a brand snob or are you a just as good guy? We're going to explore that question a little bit today by taking a look at two different ARs that I own. One of them being kind of a mid-tier rifle and one of them being kind of a ridiculously expensive rifle, showing you the features and benefits of both of them, and then at the end, asking that question. Are you the guy that would rather spend $5,000 on a $4,000 rifle and a $1,000 optic, or would you rather spend $5,000 on a $1,300 rifle, a $500 optic, and $2,200 on training and ammo? The first rifle I'm going to go into today is, if you're familiar with my channel, the first rifle that I ever owned. This is the Ruger AR556. I will drop a link in the comments below to the video that I made about this one a few weeks ago. I do kind of a full breakdown on all the different changes I made to this rifle, but whenever I first got it, it was a bare bones basic $600 rifle. Now, I went and looked it up on Ruger's website about an hour ago, and the MSRP for that same rifle now is about $989. So my prices may not be comparable to current market conditions, but that's what I paid for it whenever I bought it. It was about 600 bucks. I have since done about $750 worth of modifications to this, not counting the optic. So all in, I am in about $1,350 with this guy. So kind of a mid-tier rifle by the time you get done taking into consideration everything. Like a BCM is around 1,300 bucks, but this has got it exactly as I wanted all the way across the board. The next rifle we're going to look at is the expensive tier rifle, and this is the LWRC IC-A5. This was LWRC's submission to the individual carbine competition the military had a few years back. They didn't win, but they still had a hell of a rifle on their hands, so they released it to the commercial market. And right in the middle of the coof, I found myself having had a pretty good year in sales, had a nice little bonus that was burning a hole in my pocket, and I walked into one of my local gun shops to find this bad boy hanging on the wall for the robust price of $2,900. I have since done a few upgrades to it, including a $200 Geisley Super Dynamic 3-gun trigger, and the aftermarket accessories that I wanted for the front end have to be bought from LWRC because the rail at the front is completely proprietary, meaning that all your M-LOK stuff don't fit on it. So if you want rails, you're buying them from LWRC. If you want an angled foregrip, you're buying it from LWRC. If you want a QD sling point, you're buying it from LWRC. And because they've got you over a barrel, they can charge you whatever the hell they want to charge you for those things. So the rails were about 60 bucks. The angled hand brace was about 32. And that little QD spot, that one that you can usually find from Magpul for like $8 to $10, depending upon where you go, $21 from LWRC before shipping. So, all told with this rifle, after trigger, all the front end stuff that I wanted, but not counting the lights, the optics, and all that other kind of stuff, which is just a whole other pile of cash, I'm into that rifle. Checking to see if my wife's in the living room, and we're in the clear. About $3,213. So let's go back through both of these rifles now and determine if the price is worth it for each of them. Starting with the Ruger. The great thing about the Ruger is that the only thing that's still on here from Ruger is the barrel, the upper, and the lower. And the reason that I kept those is because the barrel, upper, and lower on this thing are super high quality. Ruger makes a ton of firearms, and so they have really big machines that make them, including a cold hammer forged barrel making machine that pumps out 4150 chrome molybdenum steel blanks with steel barrels with a 1-in-8 twist that are chrome lined. So the barrel in this guy is pretty awesome, honestly. 4150 chrome molybdenum steel, 1-in-8 twist. I love that twist rate, by the way. 1-in-8 is exactly what everything should be these days, because that 1-in-7 mil-spec standard is made for like 62 and 77 grain heavier projectiles that none of us afford right now. If you're not shooting that 55 grain shit tier ammunition like I am, then you're doing better than I am. But the thing about that ammunition is that it's stabilized best in a rifle in a barrel with a higher twist rate. So that 1-to-8 twist rate actually gives me better accuracy in this Ruger than any of my higher end rifles. And so I feel like they did it right with that. So I kept the barrel on here that I had from before. The upper and lower are 7075 T6 aluminum. So pretty standard mil spec style upper and lower. The fit and finish and quality on it's great. There's really no play between the top and bottom. Everything on the rifle itself seems to be pretty good. The downside is that it is a carbine length gas system and it is direct impingement. So, I mean, direct impingement, not bad. It's what pretty much all AR-15s are made out of. But the carbine length system on it, it is a little rougher as far as recoil impulse goes. But this was originally set up with like an A2 front sight post and the mil-spec style handguard. So the carbine length is just what it was made out of. Can't really knock it too bad for that. But after all of the upgrades, including a CMC trigger, Radian Raptor charging handle, some upgraded backup iron sights, upgraded furniture, we're in this guy for about $13.50, and it's exactly what I want it to be. It's something I can go out and beat up and have no fear of if it doesn't come home with me, then it just didn't make it. This guy is a great little rifle though, especially for that price point of $13.50. Moving on. The great thing about Ruger, Smith & Wesson, and all of your mid-tier manufacturers is they laud the type of materials that they make their things from. So you go on their website and you look up their AR-15 and the first thing they says is our upper and lower are made of 7075 T6 aluminum. Our barrels are made of 4150 chrome molybdenum chrome lined steel. LWRC and all of the other higher end manufacturers don't want you to know what their stuff is made of, because in pretty much every instance, it's made of the same shit that the other mid-tier manufacturers are made out of. So if they put that on their websites, it might click something in your brain that basically says, wait a minute, why am I spending all this extra money if it's the same materials? So I said that to say that if you go on LWRC's website, they don't give you the material. They give you a line like from the super alloy family of steel alloys, most often used in the aerospace industry, or for their barrels, a one-piece design metal usually reserved for the manufacture of Formula One racing transmissions. They love telling you that kind of stuff, but won't tell you what material it's made out of. So, again, I said all that to basically say that I've found out some information about the materials, but I don't know everything. So you'll have to bear with me, and if you do know, please put it in the comments below, because I would love to be able to know what the hell I'm paying all this extra money for. But starting at the front of it, with this guy, you're basically at a short stroke gas piston system. So the system in this guy, if you're not familiar, is basically, instead of direct impingement where it bleeds off some of the gas from the round, puts it back into the back where it moves your bolt carrier back and then back forth again. This basically has a short metal rod where some of the gas is bled off and pushes that metal rod back into the bolt carrier group, which then cycles the action. It makes it for a little bit more quote-unquote reliable platform from what I hear. And the main reason is it makes it way cleaner. So you can put 5,000 rounds through this guy and it still looks like it's never even been shot. To me, it's worth quite a bit of money to not have to clean your guns so often, because the fun part is shooting, not cleaning. The other cool thing about this is it is a mid-length gas system, so it does help kind of offset some of that short stroke piston recoil that you get from that. The other great thing about this too is that it has a fully ambi lower. To me, guys, it's really hard to put a price on that, because if you look on this side, you'll see a bolt release and a magazine release, as well as a safety selector. Flip it over to this side, you'll see a bolt release, a magazine release, and a safety selector. And I love the little troll here from LWRC, by the way. I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but you've got safe, fire, and then the little infinity sign beside it. But no matter how hard you push, you can't get it to go to it. So I love the little troll from LWRC there, making you feel like maybe there's a chance that there's a fun switch on this. But I guess that's why you pay the extra money. So, that being said, going into the materials again. The material on the barrel I actually did find some information on. It is a 41V45 steel alloy, which basically means it's similar to a 4150, but a little bit less carbon, I believe. And instead of that, they put some more vanadium in it. If I'm wrong about that, then please let me know. But it's kind of a proprietary steel from LWRC. They don't actually chrome line their barrels. The barrels are nitrided. And honestly, I'm a bigger fan of the nitriding process because it does give you a very hard barrel, but it also doesn't have to mess with the interior tolerances at all. Also, you don't have to worry about that chrome eventually flaking off either. So it's going to give you a really high round count capable barrel. LWRC, in my opinion, is probably the top of the game when it comes to barrels, other than maybe Daniel Defense. Because of that proprietary steel that they use, they are able to basically kind of control exactly the way that they want their barrels made. So mad props on the way that their barrels are. The other thing about their barrels too is they have spiral fluting all the way through their barrel. That does a couple of things. It gives you a regular size barrel at a pencil barrel weight, and every single one of those spirals is its own little heat sink as well. So it gives the barrel really good heat dissipation properties too, for higher rates of fire, and also for suppression. Something else I forgot to mention is you do have a little fun switch up here at the front for suppressed versus unsuppressed. So you do have two different gas settings to be able to use if you do decide to suppress the weapon. And that's, again, another really great thing built in for the price as well. As far as the materials for the upper and lower, no idea. I'm assuming it's probably 7075 T6 aluminum, but again, have no clue as to what it is. It could be made out of, I don't know, like paper mache for all I know. And it may not actually be any type of aluminum at all, but I'm pretty sure it's 7075 T6 aluminum. They just don't want to admit it. As far as the bolt goes, again, no information at all. The only thing I can tell you about the bolt is it is nickel boron coated, which is really cool, especially in a short stroke gas piston system. This is going to stay super clean. You don't have to worry about it ever really getting dirty. And this guy's probably had a couple thousand rounds through it and still looks absolutely brand new. Another really innovative thing that they do on their bolts is this top piece here where the short stroke piston actually engages the bolt. Normally on most bolts, that is its own separate piece that is actually screwed in, and then those screws are staked to keep them from backing out. Well, LWRC saw that as a failure point and decided to basically machine their bolt as one solid piece. So that means one less failure point, giving you better reliability and better functionality. That being said, I have heard tale that piece has sheared off of these LWRC's bolts before, basically rendering the entire bolt inoperable. Because if that happens with another bolt that just is screwed in place, you can just replace that part put some new screws in, stake them back down, you're good to go. But if this part shears off, being that it's all one piece, bye-bye bolt carrier group. Hello, new $345 bolt carrier group. So I have not had that issue, but I have heard tale that that has happened before. Now, you know, anecdotes are anecdotes for a reason, because they didn't happen to you and you have no idea if they're true. So if it isn't, my apologies to LWRC, but excuse me if it is. If it isn't, this is one hell of a bolt carrier group either way. One of the best on the market in my opinion, and again, well worth the money. Having gone through both of those guys, I have to basically decide now which one I think I am. Am I the gun snob, the high-end brand snob, or am I the just as good guy? And I gotta be honest, I'm a snob. There's something about going into a booth at a shooting sports facility, taking that guy out of a bag, getting everything set up, and you can hear the noise level drop audibly in the place because people have actually kind of stopped shooting for a minute to look over at what you've got. There's something that is just really cool about that. And if it doesn't look cool, what's the point of having it, right? So to me, if I'm gonna spend $1,350 on a rifle, I'm gonna go ahead and spend $3,000 on one because of all of the different ingenuitive things and the high-end materials that they say they use. That differentiates a higher-end rifle to me, but that's just my decision. For you guys, it completely depends upon whether or not it's worth it to you. Which is better? It depends. How much do you have to spend? That's an important part to consider. Never go into debt to buy a gun. That is the dumbest thing you could possibly do. If you can pay it off in a couple of months, stick that sucker on layaway. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere, and then you can pay it off in 90 days. But paying somebody interest on a gun, not worth it, guys. So if you don't have the money for it, save up until you do. And if you can't save up that long because you gotta have something, then go buy a less expensive gun. That's fine, no problem. But there's something about that high-end stuff that really makes it worthwhile. Again, something else to consider is what's the purpose of your rifle? If you're just gonna go out and you're gonna beat the hell out of something, then you may as well buy something cheap. Just because you know you're going to beat the hell out of it. If it's your first rifle, why would you ever go and spend $3,000 on a rifle? You don't even know what you're doing yet. So go out and buy a less expensive rifle, put it through its paces, make sure it's something that you like, and then start looking at some of the high-end stuff. The other thing to consider too is that the improvement in quality between a high-end rifle and a mid-tier rifle is very seldom worth the jump in price that you'll see as a result. So that means that basically if I've paid $2,000 for something, it's not going to be that much less good than a $3,200 rifle because the improvement quality is not exponential. Just because something's twice as expensive doesn't make it twice as good, if that makes sense. The other thing to consider too is that it makes me smile. There's something about that LWRC rifle that whenever I walk into my room and I pop open that safe, my eyes go directly to it and I get a big smile on my face. The Ruger sits in the back of my safe, guys, because I don't get the same feeling from that anymore that I used to. So again, a higher end rifle to me, I'm a snob, I admit it, I make no qualms about it. But it really just depends upon what kind of guy you are and what resources you have to put towards it. As usual, guys, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. If you have any questions or comments, put them at the bottom of the video. Am I an asshole for liking expensive stuff? Maybe. And you're welcome to call me that if you want. But when it comes down to it, it really just depends upon what you think, guys. So thanks again. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Bye-bye.